What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with another Aha remix. And as always, shout out to Graham, who has provided these remixes from the different single CDs, as well as Sophia, who provided notes on top of Graham's notes. But speaking of Graham's notes, he did mention that the Stockholm mix of Velvet was his favorite of the Velvet remixes, and I figured because we've heard a couple of them recently, including the DeFaz remix last week, it would make sense to hear another one while these different takes on this awesome Aha track are still very fresh. So in that regard, I did a little searching online because I was like, surely the artist himself, is not referred to as Stockholm, and I was right. It's Pilar Luna, or maybe Polar Luna, but it's like P-A-L-A-A-R, so I'm going to say Pilar Luna, and when I clicked on his credit on Discogs, he's shown as being part of, a few different compilations and this single release, all for the Stockholm mix of this track, and I didn't see any other credits. Now, Discogs, it's a user-based wiki, so, it's not always perfectly reflective of somebody's larger body of work, and sometimes there are releases that are definitely physical releases out in the world that are not yet put onto Discogs, but over time, most things end up there. So maybe this is the only official credit that he has in terms of doing remix work. But yes, again, I'm curious because Graham mentioned this is his favorite of the Velvet remixes. So I've said a lot about this tune, including recently in the remix reaction, so I don't need too much setup here. I'll just say I am curious, and based on a couple of the descriptions and experiences of different remixes of this, I'm guessing this will be notably different from, say, the DeFaz remix. So let's give it a listen. This is Velvet by Aha, and it's the Stockholm mix, which is by Pilar Luna. I'm not sure, again, about the pronunciation.
Cut from stone, her eyes when she's smiling will never reach home, but hear how she sings. Skin is like velvet, so I went to her home.
I love it. So, okay, based on a couple other versions we've heard recently, my first response when it started was, okay, we're back into territory very similar to the proper album song. And in some ways, and again, especially in comparison to some of the other remixes, I think that is true. But the more the song, or the more this version went along, and especially in the back half, it felt like, well, there is a lot of distinction here from the album track. And again, in some ways, that's about arrangement and levels and, sort of the way the track is woven together. And there's sections where, sort of turned inside out, and again, I think the mixing of the tune in a proper sense was slightly different. But over the course of the track, again, especially in the back half, there were like entire elements that I think are distinct from the album version. So I definitely loved it. There was again, in the first half, it felt, maybe a bit more stripped down, a bit more, what's the right word? Not folksy, but it felt a bit more simple, I guess. And then in the back half, it actually felt a bit busier. It felt like there were some more things going on, behind the main melodic sweep and Morton's vocals compared to the studio version, or the album version rather. So yeah, I really enjoyed the experience of this one. One, again, because it is back into, let's say, more familiar territory relative to the album version. And then secondarily, because it was really dynamic and it grew. It culminated more than I expected it to, and it was ultimately more different from the album version than I initially thought when it was in the early stages. So yes, I very much enjoy this. Again, I wonder this, what is it, Palar Luna? I'm already forgetting his name. And I don't have it open like I did before. Yeah. Oh, Palar Suna, sorry. I'm sending him to the moon with Luna. But yes, Palar Luna, Suna. See, I can't even say it in real time. But yes, I do wonder, if this is sort of just a one-off type of remixing job that he did, or I suppose it could be a female name. I'm guessing male name. But I wonder what brought him to do this, or why he took this stab at remixing, but didn't get involved with the remixing of any other tune, not just Aha, but anyone. So I am curious about that. Nevertheless, yeah, I think it's a really good remix, and I think it's one that, if you're not so fond of tunes that are farther off the beat, or remixes that are farther off the beaten path of the normal tune, then this one is probably more up your alley. So once more, I really love the song Velvet, and hearing different versions of it has been fantastic, so hopefully you've enjoyed this, and there's more remixes that we can go through. I don't think a whole lot more. I think we've gone through a lot of them at this point, but definitely I think there's at least one or two more, so we'll look forward to those. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.